Will, what does the Focusrite ISA and Chernobyl have in common?
They both make interfaces.
Huh?
I know. They've both had nuclear meltdowns.
Kind of.
Oh.
Now this is a crazy-ass story.
When I heard this for the first time, my socks fell off.
Cool. You must have had cold feet. Focusrite ISAs. It's my favourite thing ever. I like it more than breathing and being asleep and eating and showering.
Cool.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of George Martin? He created Martin guitars.
Did he actually?
No.
Ah.
This is where our story starts. A little-known producer called George Martin. You might have heard of him from a band, the Beatles, maybe.
Who are they?
So they're like a band. They're all tiny little insects, and they play the guitar.
It's John.
Ringo. They tour with the Flea Circus.
Sounds like my kind of music.
So George Martin, he needed some preamps.
What are preamps? What are you talking about?
So let's just go back to the start.
Where's the start?
It was 10,000 BC, and there was cavemen playing rib cages as a glockenspiels, and they thought, God, we need to mic this up. You know what we need is a really good, clean preamp for our microphones, because at the minute we're plugging it straight into an inexpensive interface. It just doesn't sound very good.
Makes sense.
So that's how it all started.
Makes sense.
It's 1979. George Martin of Beatles fame opened up this incredible recording studio in a place called Montserrat, which is this tiny little island in the Caribbean, and it was like a sanctuary, a retreat for musical artists to go and record at. So you had people like Straits out there, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, and the Police.
What's going on here?
And when I say the Police, I don't mean like the police would go around knocking on the door. I'm talking Sting. Oh yeah, and Paul McCartney, who actually I think George Martin knew from the past.
From the Flea Circus.
I think it was from the Flea Circus. I think Paul used to play the broomstick in the Flea Circus. Anyway, opened up this studio, like what a place to go and record. Loads of famous albums there, but he wasn't getting what he wanted out of his preamps and his desk and his board, and there was something missing, so he commissioned Rupert Neve. If you're in music, you're going to know Rupert Neve. If you're not in music, you should know Rupert Neve. So, of course, Rupert Neve is famous for creating the 1073 preamp and, you know, having a company called Neve. George Martin was like, I need some preamps that sound really good for my amazing studio that's got palm trees and beach views and paradise studio, right? So he called up his mate. Excuse me, is that Rupert Neve?
Oh, lad, it's me, Rupert Neve.
He's from Yorkshire, was he?
Hello, lad, it's me, George Martin. Hello, George Martin, how are you doing?
You might remember me from Beatles, that touring mini band.
Oh, I remember you, lad. How can I help?
Well, I could really do with some bloody lovely banging preamps. So yeah, he called them up. I don't think the conversation went quite like that.
Probably not.
Is he from Yorkshire?
No, that was the first accent that came out. I've been watching too much Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, thanks, Chuck.
He was a Southwest boy.
Well, blow me down.
Newton Abbott.
Well, I should have just talked like me then.
Here, Christ, boy, what's on? Bloody hell, I've come Yorkshire again.
I can only do Yorkshire, that's all I've got. What are preamps, first of all?
Preamps, plug your microphone into the preamp, and it does some stuff. It's got transformers in it.
Robots in disguise.
Robots in disguise.
I am Optimus Prime.
And they make it sound nice.
And the robots get the sound and they...
And then it comes out sounding lovely.
So that's how it works. It's something to do with transformers. Lundhall transformers. Inside it, it's like electrical component, really expensive. But it makes everything sound amazing.
All I know is when I plug something in,
you can hear a ghost.
when I plug an instrument into the ISA, then it's just suddenly warm, rich, loud, delicious.
Any microphone into the ISA just sounds amazing. Anyway, this isn't the ISA fan club, it is. So now, it's 1985, and George Martin is like, I need a preamp that sounds really good. So he calls up his pal. The brief that George Martin gives to Rupert Neve is, I want the best, cleanest, best sounding preamp that you can make. I just want it to sound amazing. Don't worry about money, just make it for me, just make it sound great. Rupert Neve was like, hell yeah. So he builds these incredible preamps. He ships them off to Montserrat. They sound fantastic, exactly what he was looking for. So, business is on. This thing sounded so good that they were like, we need to make this into a console. We need like a full desk of these things. Get this thing in a console, stat!
Let's put it in there and have more knobs.
Things started to go wrong pretty quick. These things sound great, but they're so expensive to make. Over a period of 4 years to make some consoles and sell them to studios, and they only made 2. I mean, I'm no mathematician and I'm no economist, but I feel like if you can only make 2 consoles in 4 years, probably not going to make very much money.
Probably not, no.
They sound amazing, but they're basically impossible to make. 1989, and the company is about to fold. They've made two, one of which is in Electric Lady Studios in New York, one of which is in Master Rock Studios in London.
So, from what I understand is, he developed an incredible preamp, decided that it was so good it needed to be in consoles. They were so difficult and time-consuming to build that it didn't really get off the ground.
Not only did it not get off the ground, it started digging a hole, slowly sinking down into it, unfortunately. However, it was saved from financial collapse by a guy called Phil Dudridge, who swooped in, basically saved the company, and he decided to pivot into self-contained preamp boxes that you could then sell to like smaller studios that couldn't afford the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of console.
Seems like the sensible option.
Well, you feel like it's all going in the right direction all of a sudden, right? That's still disaster to come.
I don't think I'm ready for more upset.
Sadly, a few months afterwards, the spiritual birthplace of the ISA was wiped off the map. A huge hurricane hit Montserrat in 1989 and basically just took out Air Studios. So all of that time that George Martin had put into building this paradise, 10 years later, it was in a pretty bad way. The hurricane took out all of the power infrastructure, so there was no air conditioning, there was no moisture filtration, so George Martin said that when he returned and opened up the grand piano and looked inside, it was just green and fluffy and mouldy. I'd be quite interested to hear what that sounds like, to be fair.
Sound like lo-fi.
Maybe this is how lo-fi was invented.
Yeah, that is lo-fi.
So this Category 5 storm has basically just wiped Air Studios off the map. But he's determined, George Martin, to come back, rebuild. He's had 10 years of this incredible studio. They've developed one of the greatest preamps ever made.
You'd think that it'd be like, we've got to get this thing open again.
Yeah, I mean, if it's good enough for the Police and Elton John and Paul McCartney and Dire Straits, and Elton John and the Police, Paul McCartney,
Elton John
and Dire Straits,
and the Police.
George Martin had said that he wanted to go back and rebuild Air Studios. They had to leave the island. They left it in ruin. One day they will be back, until 1995. Do you know what happened in 1995?
Wasn't that the year that they released the first PlayStation?
Yeah. Do you know what else happened in 1995?
Toy Story.
Yeah.
The Bosnian War.
1995, Montserrat. Not good news, everybody. Volcano.
Ah.
Yeah. Been dormant for centuries. Volcano goes up. It absolutely devastates the local town of Plymouth. They all got evacuated. They set up an exclusion zone around the bottom half of the island, and you cannot go there still to this day. There really was no saving it now, so that's sadly where that story ends. And you know where else had an exclusion zone?
Chernobyl.
Whilst all this was happening, Focusrite were hard at work creating the ISA 110, ISA 215, compressors, preamps, channel strips, some of the most amazing products through the 90s. So the ISA lives on. Focusrite ended up becoming one of the most successful audio gear companies ever.
I think they're pretty much known by every musician everywhere.
For the Scarlet. And the little red boxes that you see on pretty much every single person's desk who does music ever. They've positioned themselves as one of the most successful interface brands in the world, if not the most successful interface brand in the world. And that all started with the ISA. They've actually just released one of the most amazing new products.
And it's not red.
What colour is it, Willie?
ISA blue, baby.
Focusrite have developed the first audio interface with ISA preamps built in.
And it looks epic.
Look at how cool it is. So, from the ashes of Montserrat.
Once again, we've nailed the history. Perfectly told. Thanks for watching. We'll have more history breakdowns in this ridiculous format coming soon. Like and subscribe, share, show your friends, tell all music nerds, tell people that like preamps, tell all the hot girls you've ever met that we're doing gear breakdowns.